Welcome to Special Stage for round 4 of the REIS MSA Asphalt Rally Championship. I'm delighted to be joined here on Special Stage by Mike Broad, Russell Brooks, co-driver, of course. Mike, we've seen you in action over the years. Yes, yeah, of course. Just talk to us about this exciting event and what we've got lined up for us here.
Well, it's one of the most intriguing events we have on the Asphalt Championship, I think, in the year, because it actually is a forerunner of what we hope might be a closed road event. Obviously, we've got Hinckley Council behind it, which is unusual. We've got a number of stages like Mallory Park and the Bramcote stages, etc., all linked together. I think this year, with the consultation that is going out through Parliament about whether we can close roads, this is probably an event, is the forerunner of what we might be able to do as a closed roads event. I mean, we've got closed roads actually in the middle of Hinckley today, which is fantastic. You know, and the reason we've got it is we don't actually average over 70 miles an hour. I mean, a lot of people wonder why we can't close roads in England, and that is the real reason. The 70 mile an hour limit is our roadblock, which we've got to undo. In Northern Ireland and in certain parts of Scotland, they've done an Act of Parliament, and we need to be able to do that. So if it's a forerunner of what's to come, we're not going to be able to see it, I don't think, probably for maybe 2 or 3 years. But let's come back in 2 years' time and let's hope that we can actually close some roads and see how we get on from there.
And we talk about that from the rally driver's point of view. It's great fun to be out on a closed road, but how important is it for rallying to be able to bring the cars and the drivers and the competition, the spectacle of it, to people in town centres?
I think motorsport is one of the best kept secrets in the United Kingdom of any sport. We don't promote it enough, by definition, because it's mainly forest events. We haven't got the asphalt championships we could have if we had road closure orders, and we need to take the sport to the people. More and more they have so many things they can go and do on their doorstep. They're not getting in a car and going to watch over a distance. We need to bring it back to them and say, you can see what happens on the Jim Clark rally. There are tens of thousands of people turn up to watch that event, and we want that to happen in England as well as Scotland.
Now, Mike, you're far more qualified than I am to talk about what's happening in those cars tonight and tomorrow. And there's been talk that this rally could really level the playing field for the four-wheel drive turbo cars versus cars like John Indry's rear-wheel drive Darien. Yeah. How realistic is that?
I think it is realistic, because you've got 25 stages, and apart from the Myra stage, which is 8.7 miles, I think every other one is 2.3, a little bit 2.2 to 2.3 miles long. They're very tight, they're very twisty, and they're not long enough for the four-wheel drive cars to be able to really use their benefit of four-wheel drive and the extra turbo powers. So, it is quite likely a two-wheel drive can really mix it this time, and a small two-wheel nimble car can actually take it to the big boys on this one. Yeah, I think you could see an upset perhaps.
Damien, you've had some fantastic results this year, not least the win at the Jim Clark last time out, but consistency is still winning out, isn't it?
It is at the moment, yeah, only because we've got people have got 3 scores from the first 3 rounds, but on drop scores it's a tie between us and Steve Simpson, so we'll see what happens tonight and tomorrow, but another win would be very important for the championship.
Steve, here we are at Rally of the Midlands, a very different test to what we've seen so far this season. Are you looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it, yeah. It's something different, the stage is completely different than what we normally do. I've not done the event before, so I think on the first pass we might not be up to speed, but I'm sure we'll get there in the end, hopefully.
John, here we are at round 4, and consistency has paid off so far. You're 3rd in the championship, and this could be one of your favourite events of the year.
Yeah, that's nice of you to say consistency, because as far as I was concerned, that was slow driving we've done on the last 2 rounds, but we were novices there, and I don't know, we've just gone completely down the wrong way with the setup. We think we know what we're doing. If we came here and it was going to be dry, I must admit, I think you boys had a humorous clip of me saying that I was going to win this rally. Obviously, I'd had a couple of drinks. That's not going to be the case, but I certainly wanted to really give it a good fight.
So a very different challenge faces the crews this weekend, with a diverse range of venues providing 24 stages over 2 days. And with venues like Myra, the notorious car testing facility, the REIS MSA Asphalt Rally Championship would continue to push the limits of both car and driver. So from the unforgiving military-based curbs to the leaf-strewn stately home roads, this really is a tour of the Midlands. Let battle commence. 6 stages on day 1, including 2 trips to the town centre spectator stage. This wouldn't be an easy start to the rally. And at the end of the day, it would be David Hardy leading that pack by 6 seconds, taking the lead on the second run through the Arbory stage. In second place, at the end of the first leg, were Steve Simpson and Patrick Walsh. The pair had been leading from the first stage, but subsequently dropped back following Hardy's impressive early push. A good start despite the wet conditions for Simon Major and Brian Kamek. Normally struggling with the slippery conditions, traction wouldn't appear to be as much of a hindrance on the short stages. The pair ending day one in third place. Not the start Damien Cole and James Morgan were looking for. Fans of the series will be familiar with the reigning champ's determination to put the Ford Focus World Rally car in first position and keep it there. But fourth place at the end of day one is a good position from which to make a push when the competition resumes on day two.
Immediate, right 5, keep out to tighten 6. Left into left 9. Narrow left, immediate, right 5, tighten 6. Ideal, left over finish.
Notoriously adverse to the wet conditions in the Darien, John Indry and John Harland were trying different setups with the car suspension after each stage in an attempt to gain some form of balance between speed and traction. And their efforts seem to be paying off. Fifth at the end of day one.
200, keep middle. 7 right long. 40. Caution, 7 left and 8 right through rocks. 100, flat 3 right, into flat 2 left long. 40 turner, 8 left, caution. This is the other thing, 8 left, caution. 40, flat 2 right, into fast 3 left long. 80, turn 9 right and hairpin left. Turn 9 right and hairpin left and 8 right through grid. 8 right through grid. 85 left long and 4 right long continues and opens on exit. 60 caution, chicane and grid, gravel. You cautioned this, chicane and grid, gravel.
The grid is here, look.
130, double caution, 1 left over big jumping bridge. 100, 5 right don't cut, and 2 left flat over finish.
Yo, Johnny, we found the setup.
That was good.
That was the set, that's it.
That felt balanced.
That was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah, that felt balanced.
Spot on.
Third fastest on stage one was by no means a surprise result for Paul Swift, the auto test champion at home on the tight and technical Argents Mead stage. But perhaps more of a surprise came when the pace continued over the rest of the day's stages, ending the day in a respectable 6th place. Seventh overall at the end of the day, the Corolla WRC pairing of Gary Lequadju and Paul Hollingham were showing why the Rally of the Midlands ranks as one of their favourite rallies. After setting the fastest time on the first stage, the pair dropped down to 7th over the next few stages when they adopted a cautious approach in the slippery and changing conditions. For Jim Sharp and Amy Mckinnon, it would be an 8th place finish to day one, the pair finding their feet on the slippery stages. A few small mistakes on day one sees John Stone and Lee Carter down in 9th place, but as is often the case, Stone, armed with that Skoda WRC, is more than capable of making up the time on day 2 and pushing for a good result. After a good run on the Jim Clark rally, Andy Davison and Mike Curry go some way to repeating that result by this point, rounding out the top 10 at the end of day 1 this weekend.
On the way to taking their second title. They won the Circuit in 2008 and Wayne Cup Rally in 2009 before moving into the new
In Class N2, there would be just one championship crew, George Cook and David Millard in the Citroën Saxo, 26th overall at this stage. In Class N4, there would again only be one championship entry, so Chris Dakin and Daniel McGanity are set to take the class win at this point, though with a good distance left to go, it was far from a foregone conclusion. A similar story in Class A6, Phil Bruce and Dave Jones the only competitors. But again, just finishing the event was an aspiration littered with many challenges. A lot of varying stages to negotiate before then, and changeable weather conditions making a straight drive to the finish an unaffordable luxury this weekend. In Class B9, a battle was stirring. Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood leading the Vauxhall 1-2 in the Nova. Ken, another auto test champion, coming out to play at this round. This man Stuart Spire, with Kevin Williams alongside, taking the second spot in the Corsa at the end of day 1. While Paul Daniels and Samantha Bartlett settle into third place in the Peugeot 205.
First rally, first in the class in the Adrian Barker stages and second in class on the Rockingham stages.
In B10, the fight for class honours would be headed up at the end of day 1 by the Honda Civic pairing of Stuart Bliss and Richard Marsh, just outside the top 10 overall in 11th place. Craig Jose and Nigel Hewitt positioned themselves second in the class by the end of the day, 14th overall. And on his second outing in the championship this year, Kev Monaghan and Chris Purvis round off the top 3 in the class after stage 6, 20th overall in the Super 1600 Corsa. 2 crews in Class B11 with Tommy Graham and Mike Bailey the first of them, taking the early lead in 15th overall. While Christopher Lloyd and Gerwin Barry take the runner-up spot at the end of the first day. Some way down the order from Graham to fight for class honours at this stage, however. Round 4 of the REIS MSA Asphalt Rally Championship wouldn't be without its dramas, the challenging conditions claiming a number of competitors over this first day, the first of which were Neil Arden and Giles Corden, retiring after stage 3 when the clutch failed on the Subaru. The pair had been up in 8th place, making an early bath a bitterly disappointing prospect. Worse luck for Tim Daltrey and Paul Owen Bird in the 205, not even making it to the first corner, the car giving up at the start of the very first stage of the rally. Nigel Killaby and Colin Watson make it slightly further, this time to the first service, but they wouldn't leave the service area when the Evo's front diff took one look at the conditions and changed its mind. After his bad luck on the first round of the championship when the car's engine exploded, Pete Rayner and Richard Bonner were back to have another go at starting their season. But they would have to try again, the car developing a problem on the very first stage. Efforts to get the car going again to clear the stage were in vain, and the pair retired on the road section. Rod Bennett and Henry Richardson make their return to the championship this season in the fantastic-looking Punto Super 1600. But beauty isn't only skin deep, and their campaign will be short-lived, the car losing a wheel in stage 3. and the day's final retirement would be left to Ian Copping and David Rowley in the rear-wheel drive Fiesta. The car's alternator failing after the first stage. No alternator means no battery. No battery means no second stage for the Ford pair. So here's a reminder of the top 10 leaderboard at the end of day 1 of Rally of the Midlands.
David, has it been a difficult day, or are you finding it okay out there? You certainly got the results to push so far.
Found it quite difficult actually. I've never been here before. Felt quite awkward on a lot of the stages. And it was just the first time in the car after we got the centre diff fixed, so it felt quite different. So quite a bit different.
There's a lot of talk of rear-wheel drive cars versus World Rally cars, but up there mixing it, you've got a non-World Rally car four-wheel drive turbo. So would you say that is an advantage when the stages are wet on an event like this, or is it levelled the playing field out like some people are saying?
Well, possibly has levelled it out a bit because we can soften the suspension up, and it's quite easy to drive in conditions like this. I think tyres is important as well.
Did you go out on full wets or inters?
Full wets, yeah.
Well, it's looking good so far. Good luck for the morning, and we'll see you later on.
Thank you very much.
Have you found it difficult out there with the conditions as they are, or is the car, it's a four-wheel drive, working for you on the stages?
It's working, yeah. It is difficult. It's difficult for everybody, really. It's wet and it's slippy, so there's nothing we can do, and just do our best for the night and hope for a bit of sunshine tomorrow.
Well, everybody's saying that, and also everybody's talking about making a big push tomorrow, particularly the guys that want to get those big straights on Myra capitalised on.
We'll be along with them. I hope so, anyway.
Facing thoughts that I would like to hear. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, great stuff, thank you.
Simon, rear-wheel drive at the Rally of the Midlands in the wet. Fun?
Do you know what? I'm going to leave this country. I've had enough of this weather now. It's just a nightmare. It just seems like every single rally we come out, it pisses down with rain. So, no, that was just awful. It was just so slippy. We took a bit of a gamble, went for soft slicks again, but really for the Bramcote stage especially, it was too slippy. So we were struggling for grip. And then at the start of stage 5, I think it was, we just lined up, just about set off for the start. And when the marshals come over, he said, "Oh, you got a puncture in the rear." So luckily, I didn't even have a clue that we had a puncture. So luckily the marshal told us, and we changed it in dead time. So it just put us down the running order, but we didn't actually lose any time in the rally, so to speak. So.
That's reassuring. We weren't sure when we saw you come in late.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the service crew were panicking a bit, obviously, because we're running about sort of 10 cars behind. So, but no, it was the right thing to do. Obviously, we couldn't have started that stage and like that. So, yeah, thanks to the marshal, he pointed it out.
Fingers crossed for better weather tomorrow.
Oh God, yeah, I hope so. Anyway, we'll see.
Cheers.
All right, thanks a lot.
The cars are now in Parc Fermé at the end of day 1. That means they can't be touched until competition resumes again in the morning. The weather has kind of negated any story of two-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive heroics that we were hoping for earlier, but we hope they will emerge tomorrow. So let's see what the second day of competition here at Rally of the Midlands brings.
As we move into day 2 of Rally of the Midlands, there will be a major shake-up in the top 10. Simon Major and Brian Cammack moving up into the top spot after the morning loop, due in part to the retirement of a number of top crews. Not even at the halfway point, round 4 of the REIS MSA Asphalt Rally Championship was looking like being a battle of attrition. After taking back the lead of the event over the first stages of day 2, Steve Simpson and Patrick Walsh would be forced to retire on stage 12 when the power steering failed on the Impreza. This is another disappointing finish to the season after Simpson's even earlier retirement on the Manx. A bumpy season so far for the Subaru man after a first round victory that seemed to promise so much. The second of our high-profile casualties of day 2 would come on stage 12 when John Stone and Lee Carter pulled off the stage with the car on fire. Although confined to the engine bay, the resulting damage would be enough not only to retire the Skoda pair from the round, but also the rest of the championship. Stone's disappointment unimaginable after a string of good results so far this season. Hunting down his first win of the season, Stone's 2011 campaign stops here. Unfortunately for John Indry, his confidence in a good result here will be looked back on as over-exuberance. The end to a promising challenge arriving abruptly on stage 13. This collision with a bale on the Myra stage causing enough damage to the car's radiator to force the retirement.
I don't. Look, the cones out, and there was a gap.
All the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112
Oh, Sean.
All the way down, all the way round the banking. Radiator, all the way round the banking.
Has the radiator gone?
I think so.
And after occupying 10th place on day one, the end of the rally would also come too soon for Andy Davison and Mike Curry when they lose a tyre on the first stage of the day. So with Simon Major now leading the event and a number of the top 10 now gone, he would be left to reigning champ Damien Cole with co-driver James Morgan to take second place at the end of the loop and put up a fight for first. Gary Lequadju and Paul Hollingham were now up into third place, despite being on the wrong tyres at the start of the day. The leaderboard littered with retirements, Jim Sharp and Amy McKinnon move up into fourth place. Paul Swift and David Cox were putting in some good stage times in their Escort Mark II. Just a handful of seconds behind Sharp to hold fifth. Paul better known for his exploits driving minis on two wheels and wedging cars into impossible parking spaces. Wedging his Escort into a top 10 result definitely possible this weekend. Phil Sprayson and Andrew Boswell were on a charge in the Millington-powered Mark I Escort. Starting the day in 14th, they move up to 6th place at the end of the morning stages. David Hardy and John McCulloch dropped down a few places to 7th, after electrical problems forced them to slow down halfway through the morning loop of stages. Frustration for Hardy after a push yesterday looked set to bear a further improvement on the pace shown so far this season. Spencer Chard and Tim Babbage were enjoying a good run on their first national event in the rear-wheel drive Subaru and would lie 8th going into the afternoon. Stuart Bliss and Richard Marsh would be the leading front-wheel drive crew in the 1600 Civic, a VTEC-powered 9th place for the pair. And making a move into the top 10 in the PureTech Corsa Super 1600 would be Kev Monaghan and Chris Purvis. Remember, this is only the car's second outing, the first resulting in a class win on the Jim Clark last time out. Retiring early on in the day would be Tony and Emma Hewitt. The Mitsubishi's clutch failing on stage 8, the pair were putting in a solid performance up to this point. Andy Gwynn and Holly Robinson also retire on stage 9 with a blown engine. Andrew Egger and Nick Lyons retire on stage 13 in the little 1400 Nova, adding to the growing list of non-finishers as the event goes on. And Craig Jose and Nigel Hewitt are also forced to retire the 205 on stage 8 when contact with a curb in Bramcote bent a wishbone, making the car impossible to drive. So this is how the top 10 looks at this stage. The fourth round of the UK's top Tarmac Rally Championship yet again delivering spills to go with the thrills to leave the leaderboard looking very different so far.
Simon in the lead. Fantastic result so far, but it's raining again.
It's still a long way to go, and yeah, look, this bloody weather again. It's a nightmare. We just don't know what to do really with the tyre choice. It's a nightmare. It's such a long loop out there.
Myra was good for you, wasn't it?
Well, Myra was good. You know, we went on a slick again, so we were a bit slow on Bramcote. Harbury is right. There's some good grip in there, and obviously it worked out well for us in Myra. The last stage was really, really slippy though, so we dropped a bit of time to Damien on that one. So it's just a bit of a lottery with the weather again now.
Steve, another disappointing result when you were so far in the lead.
Yeah, I think we had sort of like 10, 20 seconds above Damien. The belt just went in Myra, all the power steering went. So we knew something was wrong. We just sort of like cradled to the end of this stage, jumped out of the car, looked in the bonnet, and the belt had gone on the alternator. Trying to get the spur one on, but we just went OTL. So
it's the lesser of two evils, isn't it? If you'd have carried on, you would have lost enough time anyway, wouldn't you?
We couldn't have carried on.
You might have got away with it maybe on a fast event like the Jim Clark, perhaps, where you've not got as many tight little nudgery turns.
Oh, it was the steering was like it took two of us. Patrick was pushing the wheel around as well, like just to get around the corners. So it was a no-go. But we was just short of getting the belt on. We was probably, you know, just went OTL. So
well, you can take some positives away once again because you were in the lead, you were comfortably in the lead, and it bodes well for the rest of the season, doesn't it? It's not over yet.
No, it's not over yet. No, it's a long day. I believe a few more are out actually today, so we'll see what the end of the day brings there. And like I said, there's plenty more to go yet. So
excellent. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Damien, you seem to be escaping the worst of the bad luck this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of people dropping out. I think John Stone's car caught on fire in Myra. Steve was parked up. I think he's got an alternator problem. Steve Simpson. I think John Indry's gone out as well. And now it's raining again.
So tyres for the afternoon then. It's going to be difficult to decide, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just a shower. We'll probably go on a harder slick because of Myra again. Very abrasive in there. We seem to be struggling to keep up with the top speed of Simon Major's car in Myra because it's so fast. But we've just taken quite a bit of time out of him through Merryvale on the last two. So I think the gap's 14 seconds now, so it's all to play for.
So knowing you as we do, Damien, it's going to be a case of keep pushing, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I don't want to come second.
Gary, day two, here we are in service. How's the event treating you so far?
Mixed, really. We had a good start. We went out on tyres that were way too soft and destroyed them in Myra. So we sort of started off quite quickly on that loop, but then ended up quite slow because if you can see there, it's worth looking. There's no tread left on the tyres at all. So we were worried we were going to get punches before we even got back.
Simon Major and Brian Cammack would still be leading the field, increasing their advantage to 41 seconds after 20 stages and over an hour of competitive rallying so far. The Escort driver's characteristic, precise style again minimising the difference between two- and four-wheel drive.
Into middle over grid, 60. 4 right, 100. Speed bump, 150 up middle. 5 right, over speed bump, opens. Into 2 right long, 40. 4 left over grid, tightens, 2 right, into 6 left, into middle over grid, 40. 1 left over crest, 60. 3 left, into speed bump and 4 right over crest, tightens, braking middle into turn 7 right. 40, 6 right, into middle over grid, 100, over finish, 1 right.
Damien Cole and James Morgan were chasing Major hard, but a lack of top speed on the unusually long straights of Myra were not suited to the Focus World Rally Car's gearing, and this would prove to be a problem for the crew.
Right 3. Right 3, 100, bad speed bump, 150, right 4 over speed bump, opens, into long right 1, 40, left 3 over grid, tightens, right 1, into left 4 minus, middle through grid, 40, oh, you got him. 40, flat left over crest, 60, left 2 into speed bump. Speed bump, right 3 over crest, tightens, middle through posts, turn hairpin right. 40, right 4 minus, into middle through grid, right 4 minus, middle through grid, 100, flat right over finish, 100 on the gravel, stop.
Gary Lequadju and Paul Hollingham were maintaining their grasp of third place in the self-prepared Corolla World Rally Car. A good performance from the Toyota pair on their return to the championship after the Tour of Epping at the start of the season. Phil Sprayson and Andrew Boswell would move up into 4th place. now having a clean run after their day one dramas. Paul Swift and David Cox remain in 5th place despite dropping some time, their early push bearing fruit at this stage. Sixth for Kev Monaghan and Chris Purvis, a very strong result for the crew with the new car on what is an unfamiliar event. Christopher Lloyd and Gailwyn Barry put in some impressive times to climb the leaderboard up to 7th. Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood in the 1400 Nova still hold on to what is looking like a very strong result in 8th. Tommy Graham and Mike Bailey keep the pressure on, a push at this stage enough to promote them into the top 10, a late taste of that 9th spot on the leaderboard. 10th place at this stage for Chris Dakin and Daniel McGanity in the distinctive Subaru Impreza. Disaster for another Subaru man, this man David Hardy on stage 17. He and co-driver John McCulloch trying their best to overcome a misfire earlier in the day, which gradually got worse. Unfortunately, this retirement coming after an impressive performance on day 1. Jim Sharp and Amy McKinnon also retired from 6th place on stage 19 with gearbox problems. Stuart Bliss and Richard Marsh would add to the retirement tally with gearbox problems also on stage 19. This coming after running first in class for much of the event. Spencer Chard and Tim Babbage, another crew to go home with the letters DNF on the results sheet. Their Subaru developing gear linkage problems also on stage 19. In Class N2, George Cook and David Millard were still going strong, being the only competitors in the class not slowing their progress. While a similar story in Class A6 sees Phil Bruce and Dave Jones push on for a finish to justify that inevitable class result. In Class B9, first place still belongs to Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood in the Nova. The Nova, a less familiar sight in national rallies these days, but still the competitive choice. While Stuart Spire and Kevin Williams finish this loop in 2nd place. A tall order to push for the win at this stage, but too soon to stop trying. Paul Daniels and Samantha Bartlett continued their hold of 3rd place in the class. And following the retirement of the B10 class leaders, Kev Monaghan and Chris Purvis would jump up into the number 1 spot now, a position they had been chasing down as the rally went on, as they head into the final stages of the rally in the top spot. Paul Culverwell and Joe Saddington make a move up to stake their claim on 2nd in class. While Michael and Josh Davison jump up into the final class podium place. So as we move into the final stretch of what has been a surprisingly retirement-filled event, Round 4 of the REIS MSA Asphalt Rally Championship has delivered plenty of spectacular action so far. Now it's time to reveal the final positions. Stuart Wilson and Steve Dragan sadly don't finish. They retire in final service when the fuel pump fails on the car. So rounding off the REIS Championship finishers in 17th place are Paul Daniels and Samantha Bartlett, 3rd in Class B9. Stephen Ritchie and Ian Harden finish in 16th place at the end of a particularly difficult day. And Stuart Spire and Kevin Williams take 2nd in Class B9 to finish 15th overall. 14th place goes to George Cook and David Millard, 1st in Class N2. with Kevin Harbour and Dave Tortoshell finishing 13th overall, 4th in Class B10. Michael and Josh Davison end their eventful but spirited run to finish 12th overall and 3rd in Class B10. And just pipping them to 2nd in the class, and also just missing out on a top 10 finish, were Paul Culverwell and Joe Suddington, 11th overall in the rear-wheel drive Peugeot. Phil Bruce and Dave Jones round off the top 10 with 1st in Class A6. And a good result for Chris Dakin and Daniel McGanity in the Impreza is enough for 1st in Class N4 and 9th overall. A good finish too for Tommy Graham and Mike Bailey. Mixed results this season seem to be taking a turn towards the better this time out. Commitment and consistent pace paid off this weekend. 7th place overall would be a great weekend's rallying for Ken Sturdy and Richard Wood as they take 1st in Class B9 in the process.
Ken, we know you've had your difficulties this weekend, but what a fantastic result to come our way with at the Rally of the Midlands.
Yeah, no, we got to where we wanted to be. We came hoping to win the class and get inside the top 20. Last year we were 2nd in class, just outside the top 20, but we made it, so yeah, mission accomplished. And a great second day really, a bit fraught last night with overheating problems, but we fixed that in service last night and been a fairly clean run today.
So Richard, he hasn't had you outside the car fixing the fans during the stages?
Today, no problems. A bit exciting at times, but no, that's it.
Any major incidents, any near misses, any moments?
No, I think it's the first rally I've ever done in my life where there's not a single mark on the car, but we've got to get back on the trailer yet, so we'll see. But yeah, it's no major incidents, so I've done okay.
Kev Monaghan and Chris Purvis continue the good run in the new car to take 6th overall and 1st in Class B10.
After Friday night, I was ready to go home. I wasn't enjoying myself, but we knew when we got to Myra we could push on, and we did. And it was enough to get the win, which is what we wanted. But a lad called Bliss and the Honda was pushing me hard all the way, but unfortunately he didn't make it to the end and we did.
Chris, the car's very much still in development, isn't it? It's a new car.
Yeah, still in that development, so I still learn it, needs a lot of seat time, but we're getting there. 2 class wins, can't be bad, so.
Well done, guys, fantastic result.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Cheers, thank you.
5th place was a great weekend for Christopher Lloyd and Gerwin Barry, the results for the pair improving round by round. And Master of Spin, Paul Swift with co-driver David Cox bring the Escort home in 4th place, 3rd at the Millington Challenge Cruise.
Paul Swift, great result.
Yeah, we shouldn't really be here, to be quite honest with you. I think with about 6 or 7 stages left, the clutch departed on us in a cloud of smoke, and managed to get nurse the car to the end of the stage, and we thought we were out the rally. And I texted the lads to say what had happened, and they said, "Oh, just drive on." So we've literally started the thing on the key in 1st gear, and we've had so much help from all the marshals on this rally, otherwise we would not have finished. So I've been very lucky.
Now let's talk about that first stage in the town centre. It's fantastic to have a stage in the town centre, but the very nature of it means it's very short, very twisty. And you're also testing your stunt driving experience must have paid off because you were very quick through there.
Yeah, I think we were 3rd quickest on that one. There's a few people obviously said a few things before the start of the rally, so we're out to prove a point. But no, it was my bread and butter stuff, really.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
For Gary Liquadju and Paul Hollingham, it would be a bitterly disappointing end to round 4, arriving at the finish in 3rd overall, but later learning they had gone OTL after not managing to fix a problem in service within their permitted time earlier in the day. So this means that more than happy to step up and take that 3rd place were Phil Sprayson and Andrew Boswell. The pair also take 2nd place in the Millington Challenge. Runners-up this weekend after not managing to catch the lead pair before the finish were Damien Cole and James Morgan. But this weekend does see Cole slot into the lead of the championship after 4 rounds, adding up to an effective defence of his 2010 crown so far this season.
Damien, it was a fight till the end. 2nd place at the end of Rally of the Midlands.
Yeah, I think so.
Any problems in that last loop?
No, just couldn't keep up. I think it's the top speed of Simon's car through Myra, just couldn't get near him.
We knew, depending on the weather, this could be an option for the rear-wheel drive cars, didn't we?
I think we were just running out of top speed. We just sat on the rev limiter down all the straights. The stages have been set up with the stages. The straights are just ridiculous, really. We're very, very long straights. John Stone blew his engine earlier. I think the organisers really need to look at the layout of the stages, because it all comes down to who's got the fastest car on a straight line.
We're talking about championship points. You're here, second place. It's a good, solid finish. We're talking about a championship, not just one event, aren't we?
Yeah. It's, you don't need to win every event.
We know Damien Cole is not happy unless he's winning, but it is a good result. Well done.
Yeah, lovely. Cheers.
So winners of the 2011 Rally of the Midlands and the Millington Challenge here this weekend are Simon Major and Brian Cammack. Despite the mixed conditions in the rear-wheel drive car, the crew managed to keep the car pointing where it should to take their first victory of the season.
Simon, you've pushed really hard all day. Victory at round 4, your first of the season. Well done.
Yeah, we're absolutely chuffed with that. We did make it easier for ourselves. I'll tell you, we've been quite lucky on this event. Yes, so we had a punch just before the start of the stage, and thanks to Kai Marshall, we spotted it before we went off. Otherwise, that would have caused a major problem. And obviously, we pretty much had the win in the bag going into the last 2 stages. We had a good sort of 30-second odd lead. And so I was planning on short shifting on the last stage, but not quite as much as it turned out we have to, because we had a fuel problem. The car weren't pulling on the last stage. I couldn't rev it above 5,000 RPM, so it was a nightmare. It was painfully slow, and I was just praying that we were going to keep it going to the end, and apparently I've just heard we won by 7 seconds.
And as we've seen here, particularly on this event, but in the championship generally, you can't back off even for 2 last stages, can you?
Absolutely, it's never over till it's over. And obviously Damien, he always pushes to the last stage, and likewise, it's never over to the last stage, and you've got to get to the finish control. So we're just praying the car won't go conk out, to be honest.
It's fair to say that we've had some notable retirements over the weekend, which have affected the results, but you were always up there, weren't you, fighting for this lead?
I mean, we were generally quickest on pace alone, which I'm really pleased about. Obviously, we've had wins last year, and Damien weren't at them events, nor was Steve Simpson. But even when Steve was in it yesterday, we were sort of like matching his pace, and so I was really pleased with that. Especially in the wet conditions, we couldn't have asked for more. So really pleased. The cars worked really well, and it's been a bit of a lottery with tyres, and we've had some real help from Dunlop and Harkness tyres and Slick tyres, helping us choose the right tyres, because that's been a big help, I have to say.
Well, fantastic victory. You'll enjoy that, I'm sure. Well done.
Yeah, thanks very much. Cheers.
So here is confirmation of the final results at the end of Rally of the Midlands. After a rally that saw more than its fair share of surprises and epic tarmac rally action in equal measure, we look forward to the ALMC stages in Dublin for round 5, as we leave you with some highlights.
After this.